After looking at the tape, what'd you see from the defense?
I thought, our first half, the execution in some critical spots really hurt us. And, when you look at it, 4 drives, the 2 touchdown drives, we had them in 3rd and long on both drives. We had 2 3rd and longs. And then we, kind of what we saw on the field, like our 3rd down, I do feel confident we had a really good 3rd down plan, but we did not execute that plan. So that's where we got to go back and look at how we're coaching some of those things, in particular some issues at safety that hurt us that we should have been really off the field in the first half. And when you looked at it, they had a minimal rushing amountage at halftime. I think it was close to 30 yards. We gave up the 1 explosive play, which was bad in the pass game. But you looked at it and you really, our execution in the first half killed us, where it should have been a 10-3-7 game, and we didn't get it done from an execution standpoint. And then I think in the second half, I don't think I called the best game. I think there were some situations put us in where we misfit some things and could have been in some better calls here and there. And then once we got behind, we just we struggled to. We made some stops, held them to some field goals, which was huge to keep us in the game at that point. But I think it's a different game if we go up 10-7 at half, which is really where we should have been. I felt like we came in at half down 14-10. We really had spotted them, touchdowns early that we just really executed poorly on, and so I was disappointed in that. And then the glaring thing was missed tackles. This game and the Oklahoma game, we both struggled in open field to get guys down in space, and it was at all positions, not just one position. So just continuing to harp on the technique and the fundamentals, and I know it's mundane, but when you get in those games where you're playing a better caliber opponent, the game's played in space, and so the missed tackles I thought were critical. The first touchdown drive, we misexecuted a 3rd and long pressure. We hit it, I think we're off the field, and then we called a zone on 3rd and long, and it's a field goal. We just make a tackle right there. It's going to be 4th and 4 to 5. We missed the tackle, and now we're stuck in a situation where we give up 7 instead of 3. So, or that was the second drive of the game. So I think those things similar to the Oklahoma game, where the execution in critical down and distances, because we gave up 6 explosives. Our goal is 4, so we missed that. The Oklahoma game we gave up 5. So one more explosive in this game than the OU game. And, most of the explosives we gave up were just kind of day one things that we got to get cleaned up. So, disappointed. I didn't think it was a great showing by us, and I think that's how our guys felt. But, I thought we had a really good energy today, and these guys understand, this is a huge game for us, and it's conference play, and so time to bounce back, because all that matters is going 1-0 in the league.
Their rushing numbers in the second half, was that just them emphasizing the run? Were they doing something different? What kind of allowed them to run the ball better than the second half?
Yeah, I think twofold. I think they got up and were trying to milk the clock a little bit, and then on one drive, they came out with some +1 run stuff that probably didn't think that we would see or they would get to, being not a conference game for them. That came out, and then we had to make some adjustments on that. So. I think it was a commitment on them that, hey, we're going to run the ball and try to bleed this clock with the lead right now, just because they hadn't had a lot of snaps in the first half. I think they had 33 snaps at half, and so I think that was more of the mentality. I mean, when they're running plays as fast as they are, you're not running plays to a certain look, you're just running plays. And so they did. They played with, at times, I thought it was a lot faster pace than Oklahoma, and so that was kind of how it went. And when we lined up in base, for the most part, we were pretty good. We just we struggled to get them into some negative plays. To get them in the first half, we got them behind the chains a lot more early, and then we didn't execute on the 3rd and longs. And then in the second half, it was we didn't get them behind the chains. But when we saw, I think we saw 15, 16 third downs in that game. So when you're seeing that many 3rd downs, that means you're not giving up a ton of explosives. But you got to be able to execute in 3rd and 2, just like you got to in 3rd and 8, to give yourself a chance to get off the field.
how do you, obviously you got to make corrections, the film room and on the field, but how do you make sure that last week doesn't, carry over in terms of the mentality and letting guys, focus on that, whereas you got to, like you said, go 1-0 this week?
Correct. I mean, I think, it comes with, our guys are confident. I think they're disappointed we didn't play well, but I think they're confident that we have a chance to have a pretty good squad, and they know that, and we got to keep continuing on working on the details. And I think, understand that offenses are copycats. I'm sure we're going to get a running back rail out of the backfield in the high red. We worked it going into Oklahoma. We gave it up. Luckily, it was called back, and then TCU ran it. We worked it with the same guys, same people on the field. So it's like, we're going to get those copycat plays, week to week, and these guys do a great job because you got to prepare for two quarterbacks. So, just looking at all the +1 run plays that they can run, the QGTs, the power reads, every which way, and so having a plan for that. And so just making sure you got a plan to defend everything, and then, been able to adjust in game. And, I think that'll be key this week, especially with a 2-quarterback system.
I know, holding them to field goals, isn't the goal, and you want to keep points off the board, but how important was it for those guys to see, when they got into the red zone, they were able to kind of buckle down and hold an offense like that, 2 field goals in?
Well, I think it was good. I think, like I said, we kept us in the game, but, and let me say this, take away, no credit from them. I thought Kendall, I thought their staff, I thought their players. I think their offense is really clicking. When you watch the first 2 games, the quarterback play, but then you watch the Houston game, and I thought Morris played really, really well in that game. And that's kind of what we saw. I mean, he was, if you go back and you watch the Colorado game to then, I thought you could see the progression for him. And so credit to their staff. I don't want to take anything away from them and what they did. But, I felt like from our execution, spotting them, the touchdowns earlier, if we had done the same thing in the first half, it's probably a different dynamic and a different game. And it probably allows us to maybe call it, differently, because we didn't get the ball back quick enough in the second half. And that was the angst and the stress. The last touchdown we gave up was frustrating because literally we said we thought they were going to run a tight end pop, some type of trick play. But at that point it was, hey, have good eyes, and we're on 0 blitz, it's 4th and 2, it is what it is, we got to get the ball back, we're down at this point, and so that was disappointing. But I thought our kids played really, really hard. I do think that we played hard. I thought we were very physical. It's just, little execution things here and there that, when you're playing an evenly matched team, or maybe a team with a little bit more depth, the focus and the details really, really matters. And so, we gave up the yards after after contact on missed tackles was 159, I think, is what we totaled. So you're looking at, that's a lot of offense off of missed tackles alone. So, probably hindsight, I think if we had played more man early and got a little bit more attached to them, because I felt like we could win on the outside, I think that would have been, that would have helped us early on, especially just where we have bodies and less space between guys. But also when you have a quarterback that can run, you like to have some vision on him too, and not just everybody running a man. And we knew that he was really good at scrambling, kind of like this guy is this week. So.
How frustrating is it to just not have some of the turnovers so far this year?
Yeah, it's I don't know. You go through all fall camp, and it was 2 to 3 a day, and then we get out there in games, and credit to the guys. We have a really good group of guys. I like our leadership. I like the demeanor during the games. It's night and day from, I feel like where we were when we got here. And 3 of the safeties just came to me afterwards, and they were disappointed like I was, and they just said, "Coach, we got to make more plays. We understand we have to make more plays." So I'm not going to panic about it. I think it's been feast or famine. We've had 2 touchdowns on defense, but we haven't made a lot of routine, for starting practice every day with a takeaway circuit and, getting hands on balls in practice. We haven't finished on them in games, and we have to start doing that, to shift momentum in games. So playing good, solid, fundamental defense and getting off the field on 3rd down is key, but you know, if you can get takeaways too, like it makes it a lot easier to flip the momentum in games, and they got them and we didn't. So.
And then just for this week, you mentioned it, 2 quarterback system. It's an offense that this is their first year running, and obviously they're getting better at it. How do you prepare for an offense like that? How just kind of ready do the guys have to be to see a lot of different things on Saturday?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, good thing was we played Maryland last year, so having the ability to go back, you know, work plays from the Maryland game that we know hurt us, that are similar to kind of what they're doing now, because there's a lot of similarities. But then, you know, you have a head coach with Michigan influence, so you see a lot of like the tight end delay slip screens and stuff like that they hit Florida on, and there's a, you know, that's definitely kind of a Harbaugh. So, you know, you've got multiple ideas, you know, so to speak, I think, offensively when you look at them. And then you have 2 quarterbacks. So, you know, it's and then, you know, there's the copycat factor of everything that hurt you last week. You need to be working in practice this week to make sure that you got those things adjusted. So, and they do a great job. I mean, their run game, they have a new wrinkle of the week every week. So, you know, it might be, you know, Q power this week. Next week it's Q counter or power read or, you know, QGT, whatever it is. They're going to have that run game wrinkle. And so, you know, I think for us, just, you know, playing good defense and making sure we're flying at the ball, number one. Like if we're not doing that, because they're elite with 4 in the game, you know, he can really run. And then you got, you know, a really, and both quarterbacks can throw. You know, when you look at it, that's the thing, that 4's improved a lot, especially throwing the ball deep. So, you know, you got an element where they're going to be able to throw it as well. So, big time challenge for us, though. I think their record is not near indicative of where they are. I mean, you look, they're up at Maryland at half. They play Florida close, you know, start to finish. So when you look at that record, I mean, you know, their schedule is not a lot different than ours, and they've played 2 Power 5 teams, you know, really close. So obviously we're going to have to be ready to go this week.